Greetings, Judah. DFG. Hey, guys. I have a very, very serious question that I want to present to each and every one of you. Are you truly your brother's keeper? Do you care about anybody enough that you would make the ultimate sacrifice, necessary to make sure that they are protected? Is there anyone in your inner circle that's not considered a family member? Your brother's keeper. Are you your brother's keeper? Proverbs 13 and 15 has a saying, well, it states, it's not a saying, that the path of the unfaithful leads to their own destruction. Let me say that to you again. Proverbs 13 and 15 says that the path, the journey, the life of the unfaithful leads to their own destruction. In essence, who are you faithful to? And why don't you have someone in your inner circle, in your life, that you will be willing to give up your life for? Now, I know a lot of you Christians out there who say, well, I am my brother's keeper, because after all, Christ died for me. Think about what you just said. You're a Christian. You're your brother's keeper. And Christ died for you. Who are you dying for? Who would you protect with your life to make sure that they were safe? And let's not get into this, well, if it's my child or my mom, my dad. Yeshua said even the heathens, going to take care of their own. That's a heathen's mentality if that's all you can add to this particular conversation. I'll protect my children, and my family members. You're no different than the devils out there, if that's the way you think. A dog will protect her pups. Will you protect your friend? Better said, would you protect your leaders? I'm talking about your leaders, the leaders who you know are leading you. I'm not talking about your boss. I'm not talking about your mayor. I'm not talking about your governor. I'm not talking about your pastor. I'm talking about the leaders that you can honestly say, if it was not for her, if it were not for him, my situation would be a lot worse than it is today. I have seen them make sacrifices for me. I've seen them look the other way so I could get in. I can see them go out of their way to help me, even when I was wrong. You're leaders. I will present to you great men amongst men, not necessarily amongst Elohim, but great men amongst men died before their time because of the unfaithful among them. People who are part of their group, their work environment, their organizations, let them down. When they should have stood up and fought, for example, Malcolm X. They didn't fight. Malcolm X set up the whole nation of Islam, not Elijah Muhammad. He might have been the so-called CEO, but Malcolm took that organization from a little damn hut shack organization and made it national across the country. And when it came down to protecting Malcolm, you know what they did? They decided to support the heathen Elijah Muhammad. And they let him die. They didn't protect their leader. Shot down in cold blood. Martin Luther King, another. Again, I'm not talking about the virtue of these men. I'm talking about they were the leaders among men. When Martin finally came into his right mind and started talking about, the liberation of his people, that America had pretty much given us a blank check. Not a blank check, but had given us really a revoked check. You know what I'm saying? You have a checking account and you think the money is there, or somebody gives you a check and then you get this revoked no funds available, non-sufficient funds. He said America had written a check like that for our people. And where was Jesse Jackson and Ralph Abernathy, Julian Bond, Andrew Young? They were all there. But they were quiet as church mouse pissing on cotton, as the saying goes. They said nothing. Unfaithful. And look at the destruction that happened to our people from the late 60s to current. When the faithful are unjust, they lead the people, or they lead themselves. Let me say that clearly. When you are unfaithful to your leader, all you're doing is leading yourself to destruction. Is that not right? What did our book say? It said, where there are two or three of us, and say, where there are two or three gathered in my name, this says Elohim, through the mouth of Yeshua. Where there are two or three gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. See, leadership is centered around community, my brothers and my sisters. If you don't fight for those who fight for you, then you deserve whatever you get when they're gone. It's too late. You know, my mother had an old saying, don't give me my roses. I want my roses while I'm alive. I don't want my roses when I'm dead. Unfortunately, that's the way we treat our leaders. When they're gone, or when they're destroyed, or when something happens to them, then everybody's in this big outcry. You know, that was wrong. They shouldn't have did that. I can't believe they did that. See, that's Proverbs 13:15. That's the epitome of it. In other words, that's what it's saying. When the people are unfaithful, they lead themselves to their own destruction. See, we were taught everything in reverse. We were taught, well, they're talking about being faithful to Elohim. Proverbs was written by a king. It was written by a king, Solomon. He was talking to their own people. He was talking about them in relationship to himself. He was warning them about what would happen to them if they had a king, or a wicked king was to come in his place. And a wicked king did come in after Solomon. And the people were destroyed. Go back and read your book. That's when the kingdoms were separated. The north from the southern kingdom. Israel versus Judah. Asa versus Jehoshaphat. On and on and on. Saul versus David. Well, that was a little bit before that. So what am I saying to you today, my sisters and my brothers? You have to fight for your kings and your queens now while they are living. If you truly are faithful, if you truly care about them, it's time to stand up for them. I'm talking about the righteous one. And how do you know if they're righteous? By their works. He said you will know them by their fruit. You'll know them by their fruit. And it's really sad because you see it all the time. Shame on us as a nation of people, so-called black people. Shame on us. Because every other people, all those nations who are in confederate against us, they stand up for their leaders. They fight for their leaders. They die for their leaders. They don't let their leaders die and then they come and say, oh, that was wrong. No, what they do is they contrast. They come back. In other words, they say, okay, if you're going to get my leader, you're going to get all of us first. There's not going to be one of us left before you get our leader. We as a people, we as a nation, you, sister, you, brother, it is time for you to demonstrate your faithfulness to your leaders. And again, your leader could be a parent. Your leader could definitely be someone in your workplace, someone in a position of authority, or others. But the key thing is, do they have your best interest in mind? Have they demonstrated that they have your best interest in mind? And if they have, why aren't you fighting for them? Why are you in the back room gossiping about, oh, you know, this might happen, or I bet they're going to do this. Why are you getting out front and saying, I wish you would put your hands on my leader. I wish you would talk about killing my leader. over my dead body. I'll burn it down first. See, that's an intelligent thinking individual. So when you think like that, you're intelligent. When you sit around and you wait for something to happen and then you start talking about how wrong it was, then you're unintelligent. Only a fool loses the goal before they go get the gun to fight for the goal. You know, there's another old proverb that says, you know, when the Europeans went to Africa, Africa had the gold, and the Europeans brought their Bibles. In other words, their white Jesus, their religion. All the many forms of their religion. But when they left Africa, they had all the gold, and Africa was the most religious nation or continent on the damn planet. See, that's when you're unfaithful. They should have stood up for one another. They should have fought against their enemies to protect their leaders, to protect their faith. Your faith. What is that faith? What is faith? Faith is your destiny. This is my faith. My faith is my destiny. And what I hope for my destiny lies in my faith. So what is the outcome? You determine your own faith. We've heard that time and time again. What does that mean? Critically think, my sister. Critical think. Put your thinking cap on, sister. What does it mean? This is your fate. This is your destiny. My brothers, come on, put your thinking cap on. What is the outcome? What is the expected outcome? Do you have faith in that outcome? Faith? Or are you unfaithful, unloyal, disloyal? Let your leaders be destroyed. Let your leaders be killed because for some reason, you know, you don't think that it's important enough to put your life on the line for them. And then when they're gone, the enemy comes anyway. You let them destroy your leader, and now you have no one to fight for you. Why? Because you didn't think it important to fight for them when you had them. And again, this is leadership in several different forms. Who is your leader? Why are they your leader? Why aren't you protecting them? Not to protect them makes you a coward. The righteous among us deserve our faithfulness. And we shouldn't let anybody put a hand on them in any kind of way. You harm our leader, you're harming us. Therefore, it's more of us than you. And guess what? We'll make you pay. But we're not going to let you kill him before we make you pay. We're going to make you pay while he's alive so he can continue to be among us, amongst the living. What our book says, a living dog is better than a dead lion. You're not killing our leaders anymore. Enough of it. Don't let them kill your leaders. In other words, don't let them destroy them, remove them, do anything to them without your leader's permission. That's called faithfulness. And my brothers and my sisters, if we want to see Elohim's power in our lives, then we have to show loyalty to one to another. We have to be the ultimate brother and sister keeper. Am I my brother's keeper? You better believe I'm my brother's keeper. Because I understand the power, the unity. You know, five like this, anyone can come between us. Fist like this, nobody can do it. Judah, Israel, black people, black man, black woman. How you say? Kill the shepherd, the sheep scatters. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall scatter. Your leader is your shepherd. Don't let them kill or destroy your leadership. Because you're going to need them one day. And if they're gone, you're going to lose it all. And you could have done something about it. So I'm reminding you. Proverbs, Solomon told us. 13, 15 again. Proverbs 13 and 15. When the unfaithful are disloyal, they lead themselves to destruction. Do you want your life destroyed? Do you want the things you care about destroyed? The things you value destroyed? Now, don't protect your leader and it'll happen. We've seen it time and time and time again. I mean, if you just look at the story of Yeshua. When he was killed, they ran. The people were scattered. The disciples ran. They left. The faith almost became stagnated. Amen? But when they supported their leadership, like David, the people became great. King David. Again, don't sit down, guys, and let it happen. Stand up. Get the word out. Tell your friends, tell your co-workers, tell your clergy people, hey, unless you stand up and you fight for what's right, we will not follow you and we will destroy you. We will take you down and we'll put a leader who among us, who is one of us, who cares about us. In essence, that's what true leadership is about anyway. And far too many of us are too selfish to understand it and see it. We're blinded by our own selfishness when Elohim puts a leader amongst us. And we know that's a leader. We know it. And when the enemy comes to destroy that leader, we do nothing about it. That is an indictment. Elohim is going to judge us for that. He's going to judge you for that. If you let them take down a leader that you put amongst you, that Elohim allows to be amongst you in your life, and you let them take that leader down, Elohim is going to judge you for that. You're going to get judged for it. Because that's being fearful. Revelation 21:8 says the fearful amongst us will be put in the lake of fire. It is time to be bold. Stand up. Speak out. Find her. Find him. They're there. They have always been amongst you, your leaders. Some of you are leaders, but you're too quiet. You don't say anything. You just suffer peacefully. We don't suffer peace. It's time out for suffering peacefully. Cry aloud. Spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, is what we were told by our brother Isaiah. Tell the people, says Jeremiah and Ezekiel. For in your voice, in your conviction, in your revelation, communication, lies your salvation. Applies to all of us. Our salvation, the saving of ourselves, is intermingled with the saving and protecting of our leaders. Now what you going to do? DFG, talk to you later. Bye now.